Liverpool are in a win-win situation here. I've seen so many stories talking about Newcastle have sold them down the river. They've done them over. They've made them overpay for uh, an average player. I've seen so much copium from Newcastle fans, from Man United fans, from rivals of Liverpool, like they're doing a bad piece of business here. Hugo Ekitike at 95 million euros is going to seem a lot of money to many a football fan. Liverpool are, of course, going to get banter for this. Why? Well, we all know the reasons why. Because of Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool fans don't get triggered, but you know that's the truth. Because Jurgen Klopp for years bemoaned the spending of other clubs and said Liverpool can't and would never do it. There was often these notions that came out of Liverpool that it was offensive to the working class roots of the country and the surrounding area of Liverpool to spend hundreds of millions of pounds on players all the time. It wasn't kind of part of their club and their culture. And we all knew at the time that was just nonsense. Whatever the reasons were for not spending, I don't think it had anything to do with those reasons. And that's why you're seeing Liverpool fans so joyous this summer. The speed, the amount of money that's being spent, the players they're chasing. And I must have seen this tweeted a million times in my comment sections, hundreds of times. Finally, this is as if I'm a Liverpool fan talking. Finally, we are acting like the giant club that we are. And you're seeing that. That's just far and wide. That conversation's being is happening. And Liverpool fans are right to say that because they've always been a giant club. They've always been a rich club, but they're kind of yielding that axe with regularity. So, of course, you're going to get a lot of saltiness. You're going to get a lot of rivals that are angry because the one thing that we could always count on Liverpool doing, no matter how good their team become, they didn't continue to build upon that. They wouldn't go, right, we've just won the league or we've just won the Champions League. Let's go out and buy the very best players that money can buy to keep growing the squad. We've lost a brilliant player in Trent. Well, let's go and get one of the best right backs from Germany. We need a new left back. Let's go get one of the best in the Premier League. We need some more attacking midfield options. Let's go and get one of the best attacking midfield players in the world. They tried to sign one of the best strikers in the world in Isak. If that can't happen, we're going for Ekitike, who is the closest player probably in European football stylistically, profile-wise, to that of Isak. And they've gone on, they're going to get him. They're getting him for big money, yes. But top quality players that are young with huge potential have always gone for big money. And that's why I'm not scoffing at Liverpool here. I'm not laughing at Liverpool here. I remember Manchester United spending £27 million in 2004 on Wayne Rooney. That equates with the inflation within football. Don't do the inflation based on the growth of money in general society. You've got to look at the growth of money within football in its own ecosystem. That Wayne Rooney deal is over £200 million now, as an example. And you can go through the history of the Premier League and you can look at the biggest clubs and look at the money that's been invested in young players, 18, 19, 20, 21, who are tipped to go on and be the best. It's always been massive amounts of money. So for me, I would be a hypocrite as a Man United fan to attack Liverpool behaving in this way when it's something that I celebrated my club doing. I think when you're a club like Liverpool that has built, that has its money because of the history, the fan base that is built over decades and decades and decades of success and brilliance and excellence, they're spending their hard-earned money. They're spending that success in many ways. So there is no qualms my end in what they're doing. I think Hugo Ekitike is a phenomenal player. Is he at the level right now of Alexander Isak? No. Does he have the potential to get there? Of course he does. Absolutely. Now, I do think Liverpool's bid for Isak was undervalued. I do think £150 million is fair for the quality he possesses, and he's still got the best years ahead of him. But I think this is a decent price for a player as good as Hugo. And for everybody that's laughing, for everybody that's putting Liverpool down, for everybody that's attacking it, all you're actually doing, in my opinion, and listen, I hope you're right, and I hope it flops. I'm a Man United fan. I don't want it to work, okay? This is where I don't want to be right, okay? And me being right is less... Actually, I want to be wrong, okay? Because I don't want this to work. But I think everyone that's attacking this deal, too much money, how are Liverpool behaving, being salty about it, all you're doing is setting up future disappointment for yourself. Get on board, accept who Liverpool are, respect how good this young talent is, respect, because a few days ago when Newcastle were going to get him, it was seen as, oh my God, Newcastle were going to be this massive threat with Isak and with Hugo Ekitike. Now suddenly Liverpool are getting him, and it's, overpaid, young, not proven, not done it in the Prem, barely played internationally. Now, if you had the same reaction to Newcastle getting him as you do Liverpool getting him, then fair enough, you're being consistent, and I'm not talking to you, so you don't need to get angry. You don't need to react. But it's the people I can see right now in my live comment section. It's the people I know I'm going to read in the comment section later. Change their tune in the space of a week. Hugo Ekitike is excellent. I'm jealous that Liverpool are getting him. He's a phenomenal talent. He's going to be an even better player. And this summer, Liverpool Football Club have been moving on a different level. It has almost felt illegal. It's painful, and I want it to stop. I really want it to stop. For me, I'm sort of heartbroken by it because I know how good Liverpool are. They're very much one of the best teams in the world. There's no doubt about that. They won the Premier League. I think when you win the Premier League, typically speaking, at that point, you're one of the best teams in the world. Especially when you've competed for it regularly over numerous years, when you've been picking up great Champions League runs, Champions League wins, winning domestic trophies. When you add the whole caboodle together, one of the best teams in the world, hands down, no debate. Fantastic. But as I said 5-6 minutes ago, Liverpool always had this habit of looking good and not adding enough to it, letting the team age out a bit. I always remember back to when they had, there's this bit of a myth that goes around that Liverpool didn't have great teams or even very good teams when Gerrard played. They did. And they had this point where they had this midfield of Alonso and Gerrard, and it was phenomenal. One of the best in the Premier League, without a doubt. And they had other great players in that side at the time as well. And I remember them trying to force out Alonso to sign Gareth Barry. And it just used to, I've got brothers that are Liverpool fans. Some of my best friends are Liverpool fans. And we all lived together at the time. It's a big house share we rented in East London. And I remember just going, this is just great. You guys are starting to challenge. Every year we're getting better and better. You'd won the Champions League a few years earlier. You were in title races. You're always going deep into the Champions League. You had this brilliant midfield. And Alonso wasn't even trying to get a move to Real Madrid at the time. But it kind of, and that Liverpool sort of did that thing on such a regular occurrence. And even when they became good, as much as it hurt, I always sort of knew that Liverpool were going to essentially kind of mess it up again, if that made sense. Sort of mess it up again, make a mistake, ruin it. But that isn't happening now. That isn't happening now. Liverpool have dealt a crushing low blow to Newcastle in terms of taking such a massive talent away. But they're also they're not just making transfers. They're making these massive statements. They're throwing down these huge gauntlets to Manchester City, to Arsenal. And they're saying, can you match us? Can you beat us? Can you do the same? And right now, I think Arsenal were gearing up for a very good window. City started very well with Cherki, Reinders, and Ait-Nouri. But they've both got to do more. If they want to win that Premier League, they've got to buy more. They're moving crazy. Absolutely. And you can tweet abuse. You can laugh at how much they're spending. You can slag it off. You can bring up old Klopp quotes. You can do all these things. But That's just denial. You're in denial at what, and I'm not talking about the river that's in Egypt. You're in denial. I'm just not. So people have asked me, Terry, people will ask me, Terry, why are you sticking up for Liverpool? You're a Man United fan. It's not about sticking up for Liverpool. It's not about protecting Liverpool. I'm actually protecting myself. I'm protecting myself from the massive dump emotionally that I'm going to get if I delude myself into thinking this is overpaid, the player isn't ready, it's an overhyped summer, they're not going to be much better next year. I would rather believe they're going to be brilliant, because I do, and I do believe that. I'd rather believe that and be pleasantly surprised and happy when I'm wrong than to delude myself, labor under an illusion that it's all too much money, they're not good enough, they're going to flop, they're going to go backwards. That feeling 10 games in when they've won fucking 9 of them, I don't want to feel like that. I'd rather just own it now. What Liverpool are doing is crazy. Hit the like and the share button, please. Leave me your comments below. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel. Damn you, Liverpool.